Feliz Navidad from the Midwest Flyways podcast. I am your host, Joey Basayo.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas Eve, everybody.
Feliz Navidad.
This is going to be like a 4-minute pod because Joey's got to go.
Feliz Navidad. Prospero años a felicidad.
Most of it singing.
I know. Cal. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. From the bottom of my taint.
Of my heart.
Midwest Flyways Christmas album.
Ooh, fire.
Has a picture of Cal's taint. Cover art. What is that? Is that pubic hair?
That was so random. Like, why would that be? If anything, it should be the thing Carter's always trying to get us to do. You in an elf costume and me in a Santa costume.
Fire.
Yeah.
Fire.
I don't think that one's going to happen. That one's not going to happen.
All right, guys.
On a serious note.
On a serious note, we just wanted to talk a little bit about trying to actually be safe while you're hunting because there's been way too many stories recently that have popped up.
Bad ones.
Really bad of people that have been in compromising situations, and we're looking for 2 teenagers in California right now that took kayaks out hunting, and they did not come home. And there's
19 and 17-year-old brothers.
19 and 17-year-old brothers. There's another guy in Atlanta area that drowned hunting as well in the last week. So we just thought we'd talk a little bit about being safe. Joey, how much ice do you feel comfortable walking on and hunting on?
Like 4 inches.
4 inches is a great number.
I feel comfortable at 4 inches. Other than that, I'm definitely wearing waders.
That's my number 2, 4 inches. They say 2 to walk, but you just never know what the depth or what the thickness of the ice is on the entire lake. And a lot of people don't know, especially like teenagers, don't realize that on a spring-fed pond or a spring-fed lake.
I still forget about it, dude. I still forget about spring-fed, and you just see a bunch of ice, and then all of a sudden, you're falling through.
Yeah.
60 feet offshore because there's a spring that runs through that area with the current, or however you want to say it.
It's insane.
It keeps the water thin, or keeps the ice thin in that spot.
What are some things people could do to be more aware of themselves when they're on the ice?
You bring a pole.
Pick? Yep.
You bring a pick so you can test the depth.
Spud.
A spud bar.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank
A spud
you,
bar, and you wear... and then you wear the ice picks around your neck.
Yeah.
Pretty big. You can wear water wings around your arms if you really want to get technical with it. But
a lot of people down south don't actually, they maybe haven't even used ice picks or know how to use them. But these are essentially a way for you to get out of the ice if you fall through the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like go around your neck in a necklace. They you have 2 spikes, and they there's an extra hole. So it's like a necklace around your neck, and if you fall in, you can pull them apart, and you can ice pick your way out of you can pull yourself off onto the ice.
Out of a hole.
Onto the ice again.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, trying to like scrape back onto the ice, I don't know how many times you've fallen through the ice, but like trying to get back on, especially when you can't touch, is like impossible. That hypothermia is going to set in so quick.
I've luckily never fallen in where I couldn't touch.
I've always fallen in where I could touch.
Yeah. But even getting out, if you can touch and it's like chest high,
yeah,
that sucks.
It sucks. And it's like if you can't jump like off the ground, you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
And like if you're a bigger guy,
yep,
and it's like thin where you fell in, like you're still breaking ice, and you're
the whole way out.
You're clawing on the ice, and it's what a terrible way to die. Like
really shitty.
Like you know what's happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just like, because it is hunting, because you're not necessarily doing something where you're thinking about the ice. Like when you ice fish, I feel like you're thinking about the fact that so many people we hear about falling through the ice. When you're hunting, so many people hunt on ice less, or so much less hunting goes on ice, that I feel like people don't think as much about the safety measures that ice fishermen might think about.
Yeah.
When they're going out. Another thing would be going in over your waders this time of year. And you're in big trouble.
You're dead.
You're in big trouble.
Yeah, if you don't have an escape plan, you're dead.
What's your escape plan if you go over your waders and it's really cold?
I'm going right back to that launch immediately.
Yep.
I fell in and I went over my waders. I tripped over a rock, setting decoys with my wife and my buddy Tanner. It was like late October. It was cold. It was like 30 degrees outside, but it was a north wind, and it was like the air temp was bad. It was windy and 30 degrees. 30 degrees isn't that bad. but you go in over your waders, and I even tried toughing it out, and I lasted like 10 minutes, and I was like losing motor function in my hands and my legs.
Hypothermia sets in way faster than you think it does, and it's much more. It's way more rapid when you're wet. And I think people don't do the math on that. But if it only takes you like 10 minutes in really, really cold temperatures to get hypothermia, like we're talking about a couple minutes at times. You could be in the right situation. You could have hypothermia real fast.
Yeah. No, his boat was having trouble starting that morning too, and so I remember sitting in the boat having Tanner's jacket over me. I was like just losing it. Like, ooh. I was like, guys, we need to go. And he's like, oh, well, let me go get my boat. I was like, you need to get your boat now. Like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, shit, okay. Goes and gets his boat. I could barely get in the boat by myself. And then he puts his jacket over me, and then I got naked, except for my boxers, when I got into the truck.
Yep.
And my wife drove me home. We weren't together. We weren't married at the time. But I instantly passed out when I got into the car. Like, we cranked the heat all the way up. I was in my boxers.
Scary deal.
It was terrible. And, like, I just felt like shit for the next 8 hours. I slept for, like, 6 hours when I got home.
Yeah.
Bad deal. And that was, like, not a far drive from the launch to where we were hunting either. So, if, like, when I was in Nebraska with Gavin, we were an hour and a half. We were an hour boat
Yeah,
ride
you had to build a
from
fire
the launch.
right away.
Well, no, what I did there when I went over... I've gone over my waders a lot.
So many times. Yeah.
Frigid temps. It was -11 outside, and had water pouring over my right shoulder. Got super cold. Immediately, I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. And I knew going back to the launch, I would have died before getting back to the launch. So I got naked on a sandbar. I took all my clothing off. I was butt-ass naked.
Yeah.
Wiener. I got some wiener sand. Got some sand in my wiener. Wasn't pumped about that. Yeah, it wasn't good. Because I was just like, so we set up a panel blind around me, and they kept setting up for the hunt, and we put 3 buddy heaters around me, and I was sitting there wringing my clothes out from the water, and then I was trying to dry it off on the heater, and it actually worked really well. I just let the heat dry off my like wader pants and my thermals, and then I put it on after like 15 minutes, and then I was able to hunt the rest of the day.
Damn.
But if I didn't take off my clothing and get completely naked on that sandbar and tried to hunt in the wet clothing, I would have been fucked.
Yep.
Like, guaranteed fucked. And that's the day that I shot my mallard band.
Right.
So
It's bad.
You just got to be smart. You have to
Be
like
smart.
understand
Plan
how
for it,
works.
dude. Look at the weather. Like, understand what you're actually going out in, you know? Prep yourself. Have the things you need. And last thing I want to touch on before we close, if you're taking a small boat out,
Kayak.
like a kayak or a canoe even, and it's late season, you need to be extremely aware of what you're going to do if that thing capsizes, if you go over. Like, have the proper life, vest that you need in there. Have a plan if it actually does tip over of how you're going to get out of that situation, because a lot of these bad accidents happen when people are in small watercraft vessels on scary, icy bodies of water. So be aware.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kayak hunting is like a newer thing. Well, I mean, people have always used canoes, right? But kayaks are cheaper, I guess, and easier to transport.
I think it's just easier. A lot of people can throw them in your truck.
There's a lot of YouTubers that have like kayak hunting, kayak fishing,
yes,
all that stuff. So it's like making a lot of people go out and do it. But I don't know about you. Every time I've gotten into a kayak, and you're a lot bigger than me.
Yeah.
Every time I've gotten into a kayak with waders, I am terrified because I know if I capsize, I'm not getting out of that thing.
Dude, if I get in a
Your
kayak
waders are
in the
so
summer, I'm not
bulky.
getting out of that thing,
True. True, but it's like those 2 kids that dumped in their kayak.
In California.
Right.
Right.
And they capsized, and like he was probably stuck. He probably didn't have a life vest, more than likely because they can't find the bodies.
Right.
Right. So they probably didn't have a life vest.
Correct.
And it's not good, man. Even if it's like 50 degrees outside and you go underwater, you are in trouble.
I think I'm gonna next year. I want to get one of those ice fishing those nice fishing vests, life vests,
the small ones.
Yeah, the small ones you can pull and inflate.
Not cheap,
I know,
bro.
I know,
like $180.
I know. But I think that like having one of those, having a couple of those for people would be good.
I put it on a couple of times this year.
Yeah,
when it was like really sketched out.
when it's sketchy.
Yeah, and it's like before you have kids, it's like, oh, I'm fine.
Right.
You honestly think you're invincible, and then you think about the consequences of you dying duck hunting.
I know,
and you're
dude.
like, oh shit,
I know.
I better be a lot.
Dude, you
more
remember how
careful.
many sketchy days we've been in little dingy boats with no life vest?
Yeah, no,
Let's
they
be
were in
honest.
the boat. The lifeboats are in the life. I always had a life vest in the boat.
Okay.
If you're talking about my 1436, for sure, 2 life vests in there at all times.
I
Always.
know we've had like one life vest with 3 guys in there. Either way, point being, just think about it a little bit more than we did, even when we were younger. Think about it. Be safe. And have a really, really Merry Christmas. Hope everybody is enjoying time with their families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just be safe. Don't be dumb. It's not worth dying over a duck.
It's not.
It's not. You know, and I know it feels like shitty where you're like, oh man, if we could just get across that channel right there, we'd be in the ducks. It's like, yeah, but
They're over there because you can't get there.
what if you don't get across that channel?
Right.
And then you're like in trouble. Trouble.
True. Yeah, yeah.
Like even when we were in Montana, we're talking about guys getting stranded on the river because they're trying to DIY it. And it's like, dude, I would
It's
never
not worth
try
it,
to,
man.
I would never try to DIY this river. I've never been on it. Then you get stuck. You don't have service. You're fucked.
Been there, bud.
It gets really cold there at night. You're
Yeah.
in trouble, dude.
Yeah, we've been on an island stuck before.
It sucks.
Sucks, dude.
It really,
Sucks.
really sucks.
All right, guys, be safe. Merry Christmas. Love you guys. See ya.
Feliz Navidad.